The new man replaces Ahmed Shafiq, who was appointed by President Mubarak after last month's opposition protests. Shireen Tadros has more.
It was the protesters' main demand, and on the eve of another million-man march, it was met. The military announcing on their Facebook page they'd accepted the resignation of Prime Minister Ahmed Shafiq, the man appointed by former President Mubarak before he stepped down. 12 hours before, Shafiq was on Egyptian television having heated debates. He told presenters and guests he wasn't planning on stepping down, even given the public pressure and planned protests. He also defended the state security apparatus Egyptians have come to loathe.
Friday's demonstration, which had been gaining a lot of momentum here, is still going ahead. But organizers say it's not going to be a sit-in or a protest, but a day of celebration because the Egyptian people have had one of their main demands met.
اليوم هيبقى تظاهرة فيها احتفال.
Friday will be a festive day. We will finish in the evening and tell people there is no need for further action now. We need to give a chance to the new cabinet to tell us how and when the rest of our demands will be met.
This is the man tasked with forming a new cabinet, Egypt's new Prime Minister Issam Sharaf. He served briefly as transport minister under Hosni Mubarak but quit his post in protest after a deadly train crash. He said the state was not serious enough about solving traffic issues in Egypt. Youth and opposition groups support his appointment. They want a new government of technocrats and to be rid of any remnants of the old regime. With political changes going full steam ahead, Egyptians are cautiously optimistic. They're keeping a close watch, aware the people's strength lies in their stamina to keep pushing for the kind of Egypt they're still dreaming of. Shireen Tadros, AlJazeera, Cairo.
Pro-democracy protesters in Bahrain have changed tack and staged a mass car protest on the streets of the capital, Manama. It was part of ongoing demonstrations against the ruling family. Meanwhile, there was also a change of tack from Bahraini opposition group leaders who announced they are now ready to enter into talks with the government without preconditions. Well, the country's opposition says it nevertheless stands by its demands.
In our letter, we said we would like to see a declaration from the regime at the beginning of the talk, at the early sessions of the talk, stating the following, that in principle they agree to the end of 2002 abolition of 2002 constitution and electing a new constituent assembly based on one man, one vote to put a new constitution.
Hey, Canada has given Pakistan a fright at the Cricket World Cup. We'll have the full story in just a bit.
Business Latest is brought to you by Catalum, the most efficient and environmentally friendly aluminium smelter. Business Latest is brought to you by Catalum, the most efficient and environmentally friendly aluminium smelter.
What Gaddafi has done, he dismantled or destroyed the system in the country.
As chaos and violence sweep across Libya,
they're living through fear, they're living through a nightmare.
They're using ammunition, live ammunition.
AlJazeera hears from those who have lived in fear of Gaddafi's regime.
We don't want him to leave. We want to arrest him. 42 years is too much.
Libya, a state of terror. At this time on
back. Now it's time for the sports headlines with Stuart.
Yes, thanks. And the Cricket World Cup seems to be finally hitting its stride. Following on from Ireland's amazing win over England, we've had another classic match featuring one of the World Cup minnows. Ray Cooker watched Canada's brave effort at taking down Pakistan.
Surely lightning couldn't strike twice, but just 24 hours after Ireland's shock victory over England, Canada's bowlers were also proving a point for the Associate Nations. This time it was Pakistan feeling the heat, as Canada, the lowest ranked side in the tournament, who had lost their 2 previous matches by a combined total of 385 runs, suddenly decided to up their game in some style, bowling out Pakistan for just 184. Canada's batsmen looked like pulling off a dramatic win when Jimmy Hansra brought up 100 with a 6. They needed just 81 runs off 106 balls, with 7 wickets in hand. But a captain's performance from Shahid Afridi, who took 5 wickets, ended the fairy tale, and Canada were eventually bowled out for 138. 46 runs short, a final score that, as Pakistan's relief showed, didn't really tell the whole story. The day's other game was far more one-sided. South Africa's A.B. de Villiers hit his 2nd successive century as his team crushed the Netherlands by 231 runs. Ray Cooker, AlJazeera.
Now, Ireland's win over England has blown Group B at the World Cup wide open. Next up, it's Bangladesh against the West Indies in the Bangladeshi capital, Dhaka. The home side have already lost to India, but did beat Ireland, a result that suddenly looks a lot more impressive. Now it's the West Indies in a meeting between the 8th and 9th ranked sides in the world, clearly vital in the battle to reach the quarter-finals.
Yes, we have to play good cricket, and if we win, that will be a very good result for us. It will take us another step forward to the quarter-final, so we're looking forward to our next game.
Now some shock news from the English Premier League. Manchester City defender Kolo Touré has failed a drugs test. A statement on the City website says the Ivory Coast international has been suspended after testing positive for a specified substance. Touré, who joined from Arsenal for £14 million 2 years ago, could face anything up to a 2-year ban if found guilty. The postponed Bahrain Grand Prix, which was originally scheduled as the first race of the new Formula One season a week on Sunday, is now likely to take place in November, according to Formula One's boss Bernie Ecclestone. The race was called off by the Crown Prince of Bahrain 2 weeks ago thanks to the ongoing civil unrest in his country. Ecclestone has ruled out staging the race in the mid-season break in August and is considering moving the final race of the season in Brazil back a week to accommodate a rearranged Bahrain Grand Prix. The decision will be announced next Tuesday. Now, the deadline is looming in the United States in the NFL pay dispute.